Now available in paperback and e-readers. John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side. The man who rules the world takes on an agent from the CIA from the Black Boule in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. One of my viewers wanted me to take another look at the CBS soap opera Beyond the Gates. Now, last year I basically made a video taking the Beyond the Gates soap opera to the barbecue when it was originally proposed that CBS was getting ready to launch a brand new soap opera revolving around a predominantly black cast, and I took it to the barbecue mainly because, this soap opera was a joint venture between CBS Studios, the NAACP, and Procter & Gamble Studios, and I knew that in between CBS Studios, the NAACP, Procter & Gamble, we wouldn't really get any sort of soap opera which would give us much substance as related to its suds, and the whole soap opera would basically be bleached and cleansed of any sort of heart and soul. Now, this soap opera was supposed to be one created by a black female creator, Michelle Val Jean. Unfortunately, Michelle Val Jean, as she was creating this soap opera Beyond the Gates, was beyond giving this whole series any sort of texture as I saw it. And from the 2 episodes that the viewer requested that I take a look at, I really didn't see much, again, as related to substance, as related to this story. Now, this whole series Beyond the Gates was beyond nauseating for me, and it was beyond nauseating for me from the 2 episodes I watched because, again, in between CBS Studios, the NAACP, and Procter & Gamble Studios, they basically sanitized this show to the point where it has absolutely no substance whatsoever and is blander than some hollandaise sauce that is served as related to the scenes in this show. Now, this show, again, is supposed to be a show revolving around a gated community near Washington, D.C., and it's supposed to be a place that's supposed to be featuring a predominantly black cast, but I really didn't see much black culture in this show. No, didn't see much black culture in this show as related to the very bland and generic storylines that I saw being presented in this show. No, what I saw here was an attempt to try to make the kind of black characters that are appealing mostly to white people, but not really anything that would really get you excited to the point where it answers the critical question a writer like myself has to answer before I put fingers to the keyboard, and that answer that critical question of why should we care? And I didn't see much reason to care about many of the storylines that were in Beyond the Gates. There was one storyline that I found to be quite meh, in that you had this extremely attractive black woman who was a fashion model, and she was upset that the man that she wanted was married to another woman. Now, this lawyer who was married to another woman, she went out here and broke into their secure house by sitting there and finessing one of the guards. And as she finessed the guard, what she did was go out here and drink up a bottle of wine with an inscription on it, then wound up breaking a photo with a picture of the man with his wife in a frame. And this was supposed to be a storyline where she goes to her white friend to go out here and try to replace these items. And eventually what happens is that the wife of the guy finds out. And as the guy finds out, she then confronts the other woman. And the other woman, in the second episode, it goes out here and goes on another drinking binge after she went on a drinking binge after breaking into the house. And then there was another storyline where you've got a black guy who's at the hospital, and he's basically fiending over a white girl. And that whole storyline made me shake my head, because we have a show that's supposed to be about a black gated community, and you gotta throw in the swirling with the black man, but it doesn't get stopped. The swirling doesn't stop there. They also throw in a scene where a black woman who is an attorney is out here swirling it up with a Hispanic guy, and sadly we don't get to see much black on black love in this series. Again, you got these stories again in the soap, and then you got another storyline where you have a character who is again out here looking to teach his alphabet son. So they throw in a lot of the identity politics into this series, and they also throw in some other aspects of storytelling that I just found to be really generic. Again, everything with Beyond the Gates really doesn't feel like a real story that just really gets you excited, and gets you excited to the point where it makes you answer that critical question I have to answer before I put a finger to the keyboard. And the question I usually have to answer is the question, why should we care? And I really did not see much reason to care as related to this show. I mean, everything just feels by the numbers. Like, they had one scene of a old veteran black cop who is with another young cop, and they're sitting in the car. And as they're sitting in the car, he's talking about the young cop is thirsty to go into action, and the old cop is basically sitting there waiting to hold back. And the guy is thinking he's going to be learning things from the cop. And again, just really flat, bland, and uninspired storytelling. I mean, Michelle Valjean, she really didn't take the time to go into really developing these characters or developing this story. And it shows on screen with these very generic stories, these very generic soap opera stories that really don't get you to draw into the series. No, there's nothing really special here. Yes, we've got some black characters, but these black characters really have no substance whatsoever. And since they have no real substance, there's just nothing really here to care about, because none of the characters sadly have any of the texture or layers that I've seen in other previous black series like Generations. I mean, I'll say that Generations basically was a much better show than this, and when I was watching this show, I was basically, again, thanking God for guys like Cheo Hodari Coker. Now, Cheo Hodari Coker, when he made Luke Cage, he basically made a masterpiece of a show that I've grown to appreciate over the years. I've grown to appreciate Cheo Coker's Luke Cage because, yes, Cheo Coker gave us the first black superhero series, but he also gave us a lot of black culture in that series and gave us rich multidimensional characters like Mariah Stokes and Cottonmouth. Again, when I look at Mariah Stokes and Cottonmouth and compare them to the heel characters in Beyond the Gates, I mean, the Mariah Stokes and Cottonmouth basically felt rich and multidimensional. They felt like black people I knew in the community who were out here doing dirt. And when it came down to people in Cage's whole neighborhood of Harlem, you felt the neighborhood and you felt those people. It felt like it came alive. I mean, Cheo Coker's Cage felt like black life and black culture, but Beyond the Gates basically feels like the NAACP looking to, again, go out here and bootlick and pander to mainly white and non-black audiences and giving them a sanitized version of black people, a sanitized version of black people that basically fits their ideas because when they presented the idea of, again, the black guy, he's lusting after the married white woman. And when it comes down to the swirling black girl, she's out here with the Hispanic guy. And you have, again, all these other types of characters. And again, every character basically feels like they come across as cookie cutter. And there's nobody here you can relate to. No, nobody here you can relate to at all. And that's what I get, again, from watching Beyond the Gates, which it was beyond boring for me. Beyond boring for me because, again, as a guy who has written black characters, I could go out here and, again, give you wealthy black people with a lot more texture and layers, and that's what I did in a novel I wrote called The Thetas, where I talk about this rich black girl, Colleen Anderson, who was pledging a secret black sorority in the Thetas, and I give you a lot of black culture in the Thetas. Again, a lot more black culture than what you get in Beyond the Gates, because I've done years of research on the black elite, reading books like E. Franklin Frazier's Black Bourgeoisie, reading books like Our Kind of People, and reading all about black culture, and again, actually lived in black culture, traveled among different black social circles. So I take that experience and I can bring characters to life like I did in my novel, The Thetas, and my other novel, The Temptation of John Haynes, where I can add some supernatural elements to showing you, again, how these people in these black bourgeoisie and black elite circles move. And in my recent book, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side, I show you how these black boulets basically are not really good people, and again are looking to maintain a fiefdom in the system of white supremacy, again giving you a lot more substance to the story, again, of these wealthy families, and showing you how they operate all around as related to the community, and also showing you the class structures. That's what I do in novels like The Thetas, The Temptation of John Haynes, and John Haynes series books, and even some ISIS series books like Imitation of Life and Death of a Theta. Again, when I'm writing black characters, I can show you a larger world of black people, and show you a larger world of black people where you can see how all of these different classes move, but I really didn't see that type of effort being shown with this whole series from Michelle Valjean. No, I basically saw a woman who was basically afraid to stand up to present that black culture in this soap opera, and instead of us getting a soap opera that shows us black culture and shows us a richer picture of black life, we get a very bland, generic series, a bland, generic series with very bland, generic storytelling and very underdeveloped characters that really feel like they are just cut and pasted or cookie cutter characters. There's nothing really here with these characters that really connects you or identifies you to them the way I do with readers when they tell me, John Haynes is like them, or Esteem is like women that they know, or Isis is a woman like they know. I mean, when I write women, people really love those women. When I write men, they like those men. And again, they give you a reason to care, but there was not much reason to care about Beyond the Gates because it was beyond boring for me. Beyond boring for me because many of these storylines, basically, they feel, again, so sanitized and so safe. I mean, it made me miss the days of classic soap operas like the ones written by Michael Malone during his run on One Life to Live. I mean, Michael Malone really was killing it on One Life to Live with classic storylines like the one with Marty Saybrook and Todd Manning. And I remember the days of All My Children with Noah and Julia. Those were really compelling stories, and sadly, we don't get any of that at all. And even worse, we get really flat acting. I mean, there's nobody here with that heavy substance and heavy presence like Keith Hamilton Cobb had when he was playing Noah. Nobody with that intensity that Roger Howarth had when he was playing Todd Manning, or anybody like Susan Haskell when she was playing Marty. I mean, or anyone even like the guy who was Jesse on All My Children. I forget what his name is. And Angie, who also was on All My Children in the 80s. I mean, there's not really any hard storytelling here that really gets you excited. No, everything here was basically, again, about meeting these check marks as related to, again, so-called diversity, but that check marks for diversity don't really include you in the story to make you care. It doesn't really get you excited. No, when I was sitting there watching Beyond the Gates, I was beyond boring because it really, again, didn't have that, again, great storytelling that I saw back in the late 80s and the 90s with soap operas, nor did it even have the excitement of something like Melrose Place. Now, they have two characters again who are basically crazy for white folks. Again, as related to interracial relationships, they have two characters who are also crazy. Again, they have a simp in this series, and they have again a female who again worships the white men, and another black woman who's like Fatal Attraction. But none of them really give us that intensity that we got from Marcia Cross when she was on Melrose Place. Again, I'm not really getting anything here that makes me really care. Again, everybody is dressed up all stiff, and you got dudes with body language looking like Carlton Banks. I mean, but the whole thing is they don't have any of Carlton's substance, and again, just a bland experience all around that makes you feel indifferent, doesn't really draw you in, and that's what I basically predicted was going to come, because again, the NAACP is filled with stuffed shirts who never really who don't want to give us the black experience. No, they're more about looking to gain the favor and approval of white people. They're more about trying to get acceptance from white people, and that shows in the stories that they presented here with this so-called soap Beyond the Gates, which is beyond, again, I will repeat it once more, beyond boring for me. Beyond the Gates is beyond boring because it's just got, again, weak, uninspired writing, really weak, one-dimensional characters, and really flat and bland acting. And they spent more time on the 50-plus sets than they should have focused on the storytelling. Because had they focused on the storytelling, you might have gotten something interesting. But sadly, with the NAACP involved, I doubt we would have gotten anything interesting. I doubt we would have gotten anything interesting from the NAACP, because they are about the advancement of certain colored people, and again, about the advancement of certain colored people who fit the criteria of the black elite. And sadly, because they omitted much of the details as related to the black elite, we really don't get a picture or snapshot of life within that circle. No, you could get a much better picture of the circle of the black elite from books that I have written, like The Thetas, The Temptation of John Haynes, and the upcoming John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side, which really goes in depth into this black elite and the efforts they go to undermine many of the lower class blacks who come from different families. I mean, I didn't see that type of heel that I've seen in real life. I mean, I have seen, again, these blacks from the elite, from these Ivy League schools, again, working against working class brothers and sisters, and that would have been some compelling storytelling to present. I mean, I put that as a subplot in The Temptation of John Haynes. I put it in, again, John Haynes, A Thorn in My Side, and I also show you, again, the black sororities, and like I do in The Thetas, and I show you black business and group economics, and those working to, again, work against group economics. These are the types of dynamics that could have been in Beyond the Gates, but sadly, Beyond the Gates is beyond going to really take us into black culture the way Chio Hodari Coker did with Luke Cage. Now, with Luke Cage, again, with Cottonmouth, with Mariah Stokes, we got to see that New York political circle and the dirt that's done under the table with the political circle. With Luke Cage, we got to see how these people, again, work against the black community, and we got to see some multidimensionality with Luke Cage, which we didn't get from the comics. No, that was Chio Hodari Coker's vision, because he wanted to show he was a black superhero and show us black culture as related to black life. And I also saw that with Wesley Snipes when he presented his adaptation of Blade. When Wesley Snipes presented his adaptation of Blade, we got a heavy immersement in black culture, and we got to see how a black vampire operates. We got to see how black culture operates, and as related to him looking to help out in Bushy Wright as she has been bitten. Again, we got to see a richer picture of black life, and the same thing goes when you pick up one of my books. You'll get that richer picture, but you're not going to get any of that from Beyond the Gates. No, you're going to get a bleached, sanitized version where, yes, you've got black people, but the black people have no voice, no personality, no depth, no layers, nothing there to really grab you and say, hey, this person is interesting, this person is compelling, this person is, showing me a picture of black life, showing me a richer picture of black life that shows me, oh, this is black culture, this is a way of life for black people, this is how things go. No, we don't get any of that with Beyond the Gates. No, what we get is a safe, sanitized show that basically, again, gives white people their version of black people and gives them the white person's idea of stories that involve black people, but don't give us any of our substance, our culture, our way of life, our way of living, and shows us the hierarchies of class or shows us any sort of dynamics between class and race. I mean, we get none of that with Beyond the Gates, and it's a shame that you've got a black creator creating this show, but never doesn't give us any sort of creativity or imagination whatsoever. No, doesn't give us any sort of creativity or imagination. No, not on the level of great shows that I've seen with black cast. I mean, great shows like Rock, which was I consider to be one of the greatest black shows next to The Cosby Show, because Charles Dutton really takes us into Baltimore, takes us into the neighborhood, shows us, again, working class, brother. Cosby Show showed us upper middle class black people. Different World showed us college black people, and give us that diversity of thought. That's one thing that's missing from this so-called community of gated, wealthy black people. We don't get any sort of diversity of thought as related to things. I mean, we got more diversity of thought with Milestone Comics than we get with Beyond the Gates. And Beyond the Gates, again, this show could have been something great in the hands of a great creator or a great visionary like Cheo Hodari Coker. If I ever do get a chance to adapt John Haynes, that's the man I want to adapt John Haynes, because he would understand all the nuances of black culture that I put in that series or put in projects like Spellbound. And again, we don't get any of that at all. You get, again, it's like getting soul food from a school lunch table. Again, no flavor, no textures, no nothing. And again, that's what I saw with Beyond the Gates, and that's what I expected to see from, again, something that was made by corporate types and a black female from the Boule. Again, the Boule, again, gave us this boring show, a boring show that really does need some spice, does need some substance, needs some depth. Again, this show, if I were writing it, you would be getting a whole different show as related to black culture. You would be getting those black elite who want to be bootlicks and be out here looking to oppress other black people. You would be getting working class brothers and sisters who are out here looking to build. You would be getting to see some black teenagers, and you would be getting to see a larger black community and be tackling issues in the black community and tackling things like politics and things like commentaries like New Black Media. And I would have a podcaster or a YouTuber being one of those characters, and I would be talking about black employment and black men having a hard time getting jobs, or black men who are in the elite who want to oppress black men and keep them from having opportunities. Again, so many different types of stories, not just stories about, oh, there's a model who's upset that this black woman is married a man that she wants, or some black guy pining for some white chick, or some black girl, again, talking about she wants to go and have a lawsuit against her father's law firm. No, I'm going to give you some heavy, meaty stories, because heavy, meaty stories, this draws you in, it makes you care, and that's the big problem with Beyond the Gates. Again, stiff, flat, everything all around, but this is what the NAACP will give you, because the NAACP has no connection to people, no connection to foundational black Americans to know our lives, no connection to foundational black Americans to know our experiences. No, these are a group of elite members of the Boule, And these members of the Boule, again, give you a new soap for the first one in over 20 years, but sadly don't give us anything that is on the plate, that is soul food, and feeds you with a great story that gets you into this soap so that you can be excited to watch this show every day that it comes on 2 p.m. from Monday to Friday. Now, if you want to check out some stories that are way more compelling than this bland Beyond the Gates show, you can check out the books on the SJS Direct imprint that give you a richer picture of black culture, and you can pick up those books such as the black sorority novel I wrote, The Thetas, my novel talking about Harlem, Spellbound, and the spellbound mindset that black people have as looking to fit into white society and fit themselves into boxes that are acceptable to white people. Or you can check out my supernatural book that starts the entire SJS Direct universe, The Temptation of John Haynes. Or you can check out other books that I've written, like Eternal Night, which show you vampires in Harlem and show you black culture in Harlem and the black church in Harlem, something that was, again, really missing from Michelle Valjean's Beyond the Gates. I find it sad that she made a series about a black community, but there's no black pastor and no black church. Again, you can pick up far more compelling stories that I've done, such as A Recipe for Success, which shows you, again, black business in Brooklyn, 2 black businesses, one in Brooklyn and one in Manhattan, and again, far more compelling than what Michelle Valjean has written in Beyond the Gates. That's what I'm offering on the SJS Direct imprint, and you can find all of those great stories on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you'd like to see me make more videos taking entertainment to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App like this viewer did when they requested this video. And if you want to request a video, you can drop a donation for a minimum of $15 to the PayPal or the Cash App by clicking the link in the description box. And if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback at e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem, Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.